Welcome to the Somos Sunnyside podcast, brought to you by the Communications Department of the Sunnyside Unified School District. Thank you for tuning in while we share stories about the bright side of education.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. That's right, we are Sunnyside and we are here at Sunnyside High School today from the Law and Public Safety Academy. And so today we have a couple teachers, we have a couple students, and so we're eagerly excited to get into it, to get into this important conversation of the student experience, really just get into this piece of what our high schools offer as we continue to celebrate Career and Technical Education Month. We're definitely wanting to highlight all the amazing programs we have across Sunnyside High School, Desert View High School, and even at Star Academic High School, where we offer CTE courses as well. And so there are a lot of benefits to taking CTE courses. Now these courses are done here on site, so they don't have to drive anywhere or across town and take courses. They're all right here in their classrooms at their school sites. And so we'll talk a little bit about those benefits, but let's do some introductions before we get started here. So I want to start to my left, and I want to introduce, or we'll have the teachers introduce themselves, and just tell us a little bit, tell us your name, tell us, how many years you've been here at Sunnyside, how many years you've been in education, and I think it's most people may not know this, but a lot of our career and technical education teachers come from that field of work, right? So if you're law and public safety, they have that background. If you are, an automotive teacher, you have that background. And so many of our teachers, this may be a second career for them as they're jumping into something different. But the passion remains the same. They're passionate in what they do. And so we'll start here with Mr. Armenta to our left. So if you tell us your name, tell us a little bit about yourself, your work experience, and how many years you've been here at Sunnyside, Mr. Armenta.
Hi, my name is Steve Armenta. This is my going on my fourth year of teaching at Sunnyside. I came to Sunnyside from, I have a law enforcement background. I was a probation officer for 26 years, retired 5 years ago, and was given the opportunity to, a spot had opened up here at Sunnyside for a law and public safety teacher. And through my experience of, being a trainer at my work, I had some experience teaching employees in the classroom about new policies, procedures, laws. So I was given the opportunity to come to Sunnyside and became a teacher 4 years ago. So it's been a good transition for me, being having retired once, and it's a good second career. I enjoy it, I love it, and I'm glad that I'm here.
A little different, huh? A little different from dealing with those individuals on probation and now dealing with students. So how many years did you do work in probation? How many years were you there with probation?
26.
26 years as a probation officer. Wow, that's pretty remarkable. And let's move on here to Miss Federico. Same questions, Miss Federico.
My name is Katelyn Federico, and I have been at Sunnyside for a year, and I've been teaching for the same length of time. I'm still an attorney, but prior to starting a career in education, I was a practicing attorney. Did that for 10 years, and I managed teams of junior attorneys and paralegals, and I really loved the mentor aspect of my job, and so I took this position when it opened up because it basically gives me the ability to mentor more people and focus on what I love.
Absolutely. Well, it's always good to know a good attorney, so we'll definitely keep that in mind. If we ever run into some issues, you're a phone call away. No, all joking aside. So, I love having our students on the show. I mean, just because it's so important to capture the student voice. It's so important to capture their experience. And so we have two students on hand, and I want them to introduce themselves, and we'll start with, go ahead, Natalie.
Hello, my name is Natalie Felix. I'm currently a senior at Sunnyside High School. I have been attending Sunnyside High School all 4 years, and I will graduate a Blue Devil. Out of my, 4 years-ish, The CTE course I took is law enforcement. I've taken it for 3 years, starting my sophomore year and finishing my senior year.
Good, good. So you'll have a lot to share with us. And how about you, Irene? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name's Irene Villa, and I'm currently a junior at Sunnyside. I've been here for 3 years and in the law class for 2. I'm currently taking a PIMA law class right now, and I've been really learning a lot from this class.
So you're taking a dual enrollment class right now. So you're taking a college course on the high school campus is what you're doing.
Yes, that's right.
Awesome, awesome. And so to our listeners out there, with all of our CTE programs, and I should say most of our CTE programs, we do offer dual enrollment where students have the opportunity to take a college course on the high school campus, and currently it's free of charge. You don't have to pay any tuition or anything like that, and you get the college experience. And so the advantage to that is you leave high school with college credits already, right?
Yeah.
And so there's some, I always call it, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's some momentum going in. And so let's talk a little bit about the courses we offer. So I'm gonna come back over here to Mr. Armenta or Mrs. Federico, if you want to jump in and tell us what are the classes that we offer here, because we call this the Law and Public Safety Academy, where you're able to take some very basic law academy classes. But let's get into some of the titles and what are some of the learnings that occur, and we'll go back to the students for that experience. So.
Well, I teach year 1 students, and the course is basically just law and public safety year 1. In year 1, we give the students an opportunity to learn about the history of law enforcement, where law enforcement came from, started, laws. We talk about ethics in policing. We talk about like crime scene investigation. We talk about different agencies in the federal government. So we talk about like corrections. We talk about being if students possibly want to become police officers or sheriff's deputies. We give the kids basically an overview of the court system, laws, use of force, why officers do what they do on a daily basis. We talk about why police officers talk the way they do in code. It's just an overview of law enforcement to hopefully get students, piquing their interest to hopefully, once they leave Sunnyside, they have some skills to hopefully, and an interest to go into law enforcement field.
Absolutely, absolutely. And do you want to add anything to that, Mrs. Federico? So he talked a little bit about, was that year 1 you talked about?
Year
a little
1.
Bit? Okay.
Yeah, so in the second year of the program, I teach a dual enrollment course with Pima Community College, and there's like several different dual enrollment courses that are taught in the program depending on what year and semester you're in. But right now it's AJS 109, which is criminal law, which is the course that Irene's taking right now. But we also teach AJS 101, which is Intro to the Criminal Justice System. It's kind of a broader overview of the criminal justice system from like a social science standpoint rather than a legal standpoint. And we also teach criminal procedures, which is everything and more I learned in law school is taught in this criminal procedure class.
Okay. Are those classes do you have to take those in a sequence? Do you have to take 101 before 109? You do?
Yeah, they're in a sequence. Pima Community College just made sure that we teach them in a sequence. It's AJS 101, then 109, and then the 115, which is the criminal procedures course.
Oh, nice. So Irene, you've already taken 101 then if you're taking 109, right?
Yeah, that's great.
So you already got some college credit under your belt. I love that you guys hit on this piece of piquing your interest, right? Because I think for students, you come in with something you have in mind, right? Whatever your goal is in terms of what attracts you to, law and public safety. And so from that, it can be an attorney like Federico is, or it can be a probation officer, it can be a police officer, it can be dispatch work, and I'm sure there's tons of other work in law enforcement. And so talk to us a little bit, and I'm looking at Natalie and Irene, and either one of you jump in. Like, why did you choose? Because there's different academies here at Sunnyside High School and at Desert High School, and to our listeners out there, we allow our students to choose those academies, right? So we have open enrollment, in-district open enrollment, if you want to go to Desert View or Sunnyside. And you guys chose to be in this law academy, law and public safety. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, ever since middle school, I've always had like a liking to law enforcement. I mean, everything about it is just like unique, which guided me towards this career choice. My freshman year, we had toured different CTEs, and I think law enforcement was the only one that really caught my eye, which is the reason I've taken it for 3 years already. I mean, we learned different things. I've learned fingerprints, I've learned interview questions, I've learned military time. I mean, we learned all kinds of different things, and it's all different and unique to your certain career choice, and it's just really fun and likable.
Good. And for you, Irene?
Yeah, I would say for a while I wasn't really too interested in law. I was more interested in medical field, but then my interest changed towards the end of my middle school, and my brother had been border patrol, and that really piqued my interest, and I started teaching myself law. And then in 8th grade and in my freshman year here, we toured the CTE classes, and that's when I figured out that there was a law program here, and I got really excited about it. So I decided to try it out, and so far I've stuck with it, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick with it for my senior year too.
So it's meeting your expectations.
Yes, it is.
So kudos to your teachers, right?
Yes.
You don't have to just say that because they're here. I mean, if you agree with me, you can disagree with me.
No, I'm very grateful because I came into this program, already knowing a few things that I taught myself, doing my own research, and they've opened my eyes to a much bigger, world of law, and I've learned so much, and I'm able to take it back home to my family and tell them, help them out. So.
Well, good. I love that you talk about doing your own research. I mean, because it really is about having choice, right? It's about following your passions, trying to identify what your purpose is in life. And you guys are young, right? You guys are in high school still. You're young teenagers, but I love how you guys speak to that. You sound very prepared. You've done your research, and you're in the pathway, if you will, that you want to pursue, and that says a lot about you guys. The other piece I really love is that we have 2 female students here, and sometimes law enforcement or law just in itself isn't always seen as how should I say this
like
correctly?
a male dominant field.
It's a male dominant field, and so I love seeing and speaking of female presence, I want to give a shout out to our new chief of police for Tucson Police Department. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah, female.
You guys aren't reading the news. What's up, man? I mean, it should be all over your social media platforms. And so Monica Prieto, she is the chief of the Tucson Police Department. They just announced that, I think, not too long ago, a week ago or something like that. And not only is she the chief of police, but she's a Desert View High School graduate. So she came to school in this school district, and so she was a proud Jaguar, and now she is chief of police. And so she's the second chief of police that is a Sunnyside graduate. Years ago it was Richard Miranda, who was chief of police, and he was a Sunnyside High School graduate. So who knows? We may have the next chief of police here in the room. Not to put any pressure on you, but hey, Sunnyside grads, they rise to those expectations. So the other piece I want to capture here is now you mentioned, I think you guys both mentioned it, the tours, right? You guys mentioned the tours, and I think that's so important. You guys took tours as 8th graders, and then you took tours, I believe, as 9th graders, right, as freshmen. So, this is very intentional, and I want our listeners, our parents, and our students that are listening out there, because I know we got tons of listeners, that, you take those tours, that you look into, what the high schools have to offer, so that you do make a choice that really benefits, you and your child. But you get the tours. You get to visit all the CTE programs here at the high schools, at all the high schools, or you get to choose to, visit the ones that you're interested in. And then you do it again in ninth grade. At ninth grade, everybody's in freshman academy. And then from freshman academy, you transition to one of the college and career academies. And so I love that you guys mentioned that, because we put a lot of work into that. And we want to make sure that, people make informed decisions. And so, speaking of decisions, we are going to cut to a quick commercial break, but we'll be right back with our Sunnyside High School team.
You will love SUSD. Don't believe us? Just watch. In Sunnyside Unified School District, students dream big, learn boldly, and grow confidently. From hands-on STEM and arts programs to student athletes earning athletic scholarships, Sunnyside District gives every student a place to shine. Enrollment for the 26-27 school year is now available. Enroll today at susd12.org.
All right, we are back. We were talking a little bit about our, you guys had mentioned CTE tours, and you probably took them as 8th graders, you probably took them as freshmen. Tell us a little bit about that experience. How are those tours set up? How did those tours help you as students choose the academy of your choice?
Well, I was first introduced with the tours my 8th grade year. I came from Apollo to Sunnyside, and one of the first halls I ironically went into was the 100 halls, such as the law enforcement hall. That's when I first met Mr. Armenta, and he was letting us try the drunk goggles he has, which is a fun experience. He shows us why we should not be drinking and driving.
Absolutely.
And that really caught my eye. And then he has these amazing banners with different job types, and he would get into the job types, which also was interesting, because I at first thought the law enforcement was only about police, but it is not. And I mean, out of all the CTEs, that one really stood out. That one had an actual activity we can try, which really got my attention more than other CTEs.
Gotcha. And for you, Irene?
Yeah, well, coming into my 8th grade year, towards the end of it, I wasn't sure, what career I wanted or anything really, and that off-put my decisions for high school. So 8th grade, I came and I did the tours, and I stopped here in the 100 hall for, to see the law academy, and I saw the banner, and I tried on the drunk goggles too, and
those drunk goggles must be popular around here.
Yes, they are. I tried them on. It's the first time I was able to walk straight. Yeah. But it really piqued my interest. That was a really fun activity, and I had set my mind, and then freshman year, someone off-put me from it. Someone told me not to do it, and I still did it. I still came for it, and now I'm finding such a nice thing I want to do, in my future for a career. I honestly kind of wish the person didn't say anything, because that changed my point of view coming into this, and thankfully my teachers have been able to change my point of view.
Yeah, it's funny when you guys talk about the drunken goggles, right? When you think of, for example, a DUI case, right? Somebody driving under the influence. Look at all the law enforcement areas it affects, right? Or impacts, or it has an impact on the situation. So, you get pulled over because you're under the influence. There's an officer there, right? Which is investigating. Then from there, it may go to a medical lab. And then from there, it goes to a court process. And then from there, you're working with your attorneys and all that. So, just one incident, how much it involves law enforcement. And my point here is what you guys have been talking about this whole time, is that there are so many different areas of focus in just law and public safety, right? It's just not one thing. It's several things. And so just wanted to point that out. Before we move on, last thing I want to capture here is I love to hear from students, where they went to school, where they started, what was your elementary, middle, and I know you were excited about graduating as a Blue Devil, so we'll get to that. So, Natalie, where did you go to elementary and middle?
So for elementary school, I went to Mission Manor Elementary,
Okay.
and then after that, I attended Apollo, and then after that, I'm at Sunnyside High School.
Currently at Sunset. That's awesome. I was a Mustang too back in the day, but the old Mission Manor, the one that they don't use no more. And how about you, Irene?
Well, from kindergarten to 8th grade, I've been going to Gallego, so it went from little
Primary.
Gallego, primary to elementary, and it honestly, I loved the community doing that because so many people stuck to Gallego when they were kids and all the way to 8th grade, and I grew up with so many people, and watching each other grow up and having that small little bubble that you can always go back to in your mind. It's honestly, I'm grateful for it.
So cool, so cool. So you were Gallego Primary, Gallego Intermediate, and now Blue Devil.
Yep.
So there's a saying here, I say at graduation every year, once a Blue Devil,
always a Blue Devil.
always a Blue Devil. That's right. So can't wait to see you guys on graduation night. Now switching gears, I want to hear a little bit more about, like, what are your career goals? Like, you got into this Law and Public Safety Academy because you wanted to learn about law in general. Now you're taking some college credit courses. What's your end goal here? What do you think you want to pursue? Because you don't always have to know right off the bat what you want to do. Some people know from the get-go, I want to do this. And then others, they're kind of just exploring. I think I may want to do this, but I may want to do that. So what 5 years from now, graduation comes. What are you going to do after high school graduation?
In middle school, I've always liked an interest in law enforcement. I knew that's the career choice I wanted to do. I just didn't know what career exactly. I first wanted to be a detective, and I thought, they work hard. Like, they have to become a police officer first, and then they have to advance into
Promote.
that detective.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was really interesting, but I ended up changing my mind to a crime scene investigator. I really like that they get to deal with the crime scenes. I like how they get to analyze evidence. I take PIMA writing at Sunnyside High School, and for one of the essays we had to write, it had to be about your dream career. So I got to interview a crime scene investigator in a local Phoenix station, and I learned different things I didn't know. For starters, they work with all kinds of people. It could be detectives, police officers, or laboratories. And I think one of the biggest things that they taught me was that TV, it's really not the same thing. Yeah. It's they shorten times up so it could all be in one episode. However, they take months, maybe even years just to get back on evidence or just to get into contact with someone to talk about the evidence. And I think doing that interview with him really piqued my interest in being a crime scene investigator, which is the reason I've chosen that career. And for college, I plan on doing criminology and criminal justice and maybe double majoring and doing something in forensics because they do need a forensics or a biology degree.
Nice. Dang, you got it all planned out, man. Shoot, CSI. When you said that, when you said
crime scene
investigator, it's a mouthful. I did think of, the first thing I thought of was TV shows, right? The CSI. And I'm glad you said that because although, TV shows can inspire you, it's obviously that you've done some little work to find out exactly what it is. And I love that you mentioned your PIMA writing class because that's another dual enrollment course that you're taking, which you had to do an investigative essay, it sounds like, and you did your research. So that's awesome. Very awesome. But I'll do another shout out. Speaking of crime scene investigators, we do have an actress who's a DV grad out there that comes out in FBI International, Vanessa Vidotto, and she is a DV grad. So she is the TV law enforcement person. You're going to be the real law enforcement person. And that's not I'm not criticizing Vanessa. She's doing real well. So Irene, what do you plan to do in the future with this information, with these classes, with this experience?
Well, hopefully after I graduate high school, I'm thinking about going into college, either U of A, ASU, or NAU, because all have different paths I can take for law enforcement. But I want to major in criminal justice, bachelor's at least, and at most doctorates. So I'm looking into that. And then after college, I'm wanting to be a police officer. And then after a few years of that, hopefully I can become a U.S. Marshal.
There you go. We also have some former Sunnyside grads, but I won't. I'm tired of dropping names here. Mark Torres, U.S. Marshals, up, But it's just so cool, right? When you guys, it triggers just people that I've come in contact with that are Sunnyside grads that are being successful in law enforcement, and we have a lot of law enforcement officers, whether they're probation officers, whether they're police officers, federal agents, that have come out of Sunnyside High School and Desert View High School for that matter. So they're definitely doing some public service out there and giving back to the community in certain ways. And so, this is all possible, to our listeners out there. It's such a cool experience for you guys, right? To help you figure out what you want to do in life. And I love that both of you are taking dual enrollment courses. I mean, you're not only going to graduate with your high school diploma, but you're going to graduate with some college credits under your belt, right? Which is huge. And that's all, big thank you to our teachers here who have to be certified to teach those classes, right? They just don't let anybody teach those classes. And so I'm glad that continues. So, to Mrs. Federico, to Mr. Armenta, what's your message to students and parents out there? If you wanted a message, the law and public safety to them, what exactly would you tell parents or students that are interested in coming into this program, taking this pathway?
I think my message would be that even if you're not yet interested in a career in law or public safety, that we teach really, really, really important life skills in this class. We teach a lot of information like know your rights, a lot of things that just as a citizen of the world, you should know. I think that our class probably has, you think about applied education, I think our class has the most application to the lives of students, both outside of the education setting and after high school. So I would say that, and I would also say that we have 2 students who want to go and become police officers, and I think, or forensics. I think that the majority of our students want to do forensics, and after that, police. But we also have a lot of students who are interested in becoming lawyers or paralegals. So it really does, we cover the whole spectrum of careers in law and public safety, whether it's lawyer or crime scene investigator or detective or police officer, corrections, probation, whatever it is, it's covered.
Love it. And I think it opens the eyes to students, right? I think sometimes when you think law enforcement, you think police officer, cop, right? You think attorney, but you don't think of all these other areas it hits on. And I love that piece that you mentioned about, students learning their rights, right? Because, you cover some of those pieces in here, and it's important that you know your rights as a citizen when you do run into, these situations. And so it's something that's applicable to just everyday life, right? And so, Mr. Armenta, anything you want to add there to what should parents expect? What's your message to parents or students in regards to the law and public safety program here at Sunnyside?
I think the program gives students, I think a lot of students don't know what they want to do in life. Some do, some don't. But if they want to get into the law enforcement field, obviously you talked about it. There's a lot of jobs out there in law enforcement, right? We call it job security, right? There's always going to be the need for 911 dispatchers. There's always going to be a need for corrections officers. There's always going to be the need for police officers. But we show the kids, if they want to do those jobs, we teach them what it takes to get there. Because most of the jobs, especially the federal jobs, they need degrees, right? So we talk about if you want to work for DEA, FBI, you're gonna need a college degree, a 4-year diploma, right? So we talk about if you don't want to go to school, but then again, most law enforcement jobs you have to be 21. right? So we talk about, okay, what can we do to bridge that gap between high school and being 21, 18, 21? Well, we talk about jobs and going into being a corrections officer or being a community resource officer, the job that's available through the Tucson Police Department. So we give them the opportunity to gain some experience, so that way when they turn 21, they can go into the jobs that they really, really want to get into.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we just give them all the knowledge and like a pathway to obtain their dream of being a law enforcement officer or maybe an attorney. Working for the courts as a clerk or a bailiff. There's a lot of jobs out there that our students can get into, and I mean we're in the process of setting up. Our kids are going to be certified this year when they graduate. They're going to have a guard card, which is issued through the state of Arizona, through Arizona Department of Public Safety. So they're going to be certified as they can go get a security guard job right now.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
So to gain some experience, so we're just helping our kids just with general knowledge on just everyday life and, the careers that are out there. Because there's a lot of careers in law enforcement and the courts.
Just don't take those night jobs. We want you guys in school the next day, right? Take those 24 hours, get out at 6 in the morning. That's not going to work. So, anyways, no, but it is. I mean, it just goes to show, any certification you can obtain, and apply, what you're learning is just pretty remarkable. And so, any messages that you guys have, Natalie, Irene, for those students that are interested and are just maybe unsure and I mean, what's your message to these 8th graders or 9th graders that are transitioning?
I think my message is that law enforcement is not just about the police. I tell my friends and family the different things I learn, and they just assume I learn about police. It is about so much different jobs. I learned about federal agencies. I've learned about the different court positions. I've learned about attorneys. I've learned just different things like what they do in prisons, forensics level, and people just think it's about police. It's about so much different things, so many opportunities for you to grow, so much interest. And I think the last thing I would recommend is to always take advance. I've gotten 6 college credits so far, which is so thankful. I don't know how to express
Congratulations. That is awesome. Pretty phenomenal.
And free.
I would say if you're not sure about it, go for it still, because I wasn't sure about it either. I wasn't sure how much this program could offer me, and here I am now with so much more knowledge than I started off with. And if it's something you don't like, once you get into it, you can always drop out of it. It's not a forever thing. Nothing is. You're always able to change your mind, and no one should judge you for it.
Absolutely. Everyone's has the opportunity to pivot, right?
Yes.
And so, it's funny because I started as a law enforcement major my freshman year in college and then moved on to education. So, it's and I always said if I wasn't in education, I'd probably be in law enforcement, right? So there's so many, as you guys mentioned, just so much to do in it, and you guys are just great examples. Irene and Natalie, you guys have, you guys both have great stories here, and I'm hoping that our students tune in because you have a lot to share, in terms of your experiences, not only with doing enrollment, but just doing your research and what, careers you guys want to pursue in law enforcement. And so, it's worth hearing. So speaking of that, have you guys had any cool guest speakers or anything like that have come in and talked to your classes?
Yes. My whole junior year, my teacher was Miss T-Bone, and she's retired now, but she would bring in
Shout out to Patty Tebow out there.
She would bring in different police stations, and they would come in and they would basically just lecture us about different things. It could be the uses of drugs and why it's not okay to use, or their roles, or why you should become a police officer. And they try to sign you up for internships, which I think is the most. It's just the best thing I've ever heard. I didn't know there was different types of internships that you could do at first, and they would bring it, and they'll be this is why you should take it. Or they would mention anything military related, which is definitely helpful to anyone seeking that position.
That's awesome. Well, our homework is we need to get the chief of police in here to be a guest speaker.
I know. We need
Right,
to get her in.
Chief Prieto, if you're listening in, we're calling you out, and we'd love for you to come by and chat with these amazing students here at Sunnyside High School. Any last thoughts? Any last words? We even do shout outs. We're a cool show. If you have any last shout outs to anybody that you want to throw out there.
I would say I remember my freshman year that I had a few people that I knew telling me not to take this class because it was too much writing, too much work, and I come in here and I was scared going into Mr. Armenta's class my first year, and it turned out it wasn't at all. It was really fun. It obviously any class you go into you're gonna have work, but
Absolutely.
He made it so much easier, and so does Miss Federico, and it's a really lovely class. And I mean, if I hadn't joined this, I wouldn't have been able to go on a field trip to the courthouse this year and experience so much, and speak to the U.S. Marshals that were there and who really piqued my interest.
Yeah.
And that's going into federal agency.
Yep.
It's really.
Yeah, I know a couple U.S. Marshals will line those guest speakers up too. Yeah, there's an old saying, you get out of it what you put into it, right? And so I was a high school student once, and yeah, sometimes you wanted to go the easy way, right? Oh, take this class or that class. That's the easy route, but it's not always the best route, right? And so, I'm glad that you made your own decision, Irene, because now, you're definitely reaping the benefits from it. So any other last thoughts? Anything else you want to add that we haven't covered?
No, I just think all of our CT courses, there's a lot of kids that don't know what they want to do in life, right? And I think all our CT courses kind of give kids, a little glimpse of what life might be out there, once they graduate, right? If they maybe want to be a mechanic or, work in photography or, be in law enforcement or whatever it may be. I mean, it's just, our program just kind of hopefully piques the interest of some kid who doesn't know kind of what they want to do with their life. So maybe one of our topics kind of grabs them and grabs hold of their interests and maybe becomes the driving force of them going into college or maybe going into career in law enforcement or the courts or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Anything else, Ms. Federico?
What's really interesting, what I love about this program is that we have so many students that come into class with their own perspectives and experience with law enforcement in their communities or crime in their communities, or even here on campus. And it's really, I love the sense of community that the students have at this school, and I love that they bring it into the classroom, and we have just so many amazing discussions about policing in the community and what that means and like what it is and what it could be, and what are some of the challenges that the police, like they see police behaving a certain way and why do they do that? What are the challenges that they have, and how do we help forge relationships with law enforcement? And I think the students here are just so unique and so special and bring so much to the program, more so than I bring to the program.
Oh, well said. How do you guys feel about that, huh? That's a pretty nice comment there, huh? But that's what you get here at Sunnyside, thank you for that, really. I just think I love that we have passionate individuals teaching our students, right? Because some people see it as a job, others see it as it's what they were meant to do, right? It's their passion, and they want to pass that on to our students, and that clearly is evident here, that it's happening here at the Law and Public Safety Academy here at Sunnyside High School. So, thank you guys for just an amazing conversation here. And to our listeners out there, whether you're parents, whether you're students, come check us out. Come check us out. Come take a visit at Sunnyside High School. Come meet the teachers. Come meet the programs, the students, and come ask your questions. Do your research like Natalie and Irene have done, and they got promising futures here. And I just got one thing, Irene. If you ever pull me over, I want you to give me a warning, all right? Because I do tend to speed sometimes, all right? So just kind of let me off with a soft warning or something like that, you know? So, because, you know, it's those tickets are expensive out there. So,
Should be speeding then.
I know, right? Right?
Yeah.
Spoken like a true law enforcement officer.
True that. I'm guilty.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode of Somos Sunnyside. Hasta la próxima. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Somos Sunnyside. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and found it entertaining. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and share our podcast with la comunidad. For updates on future episodes and more, be sure to follow us on social media and visit our website at susd12.org. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you back for the next episode. Hasta la próxima vez en Somos Sunnyside.